Hey guys and gals, it's Logan Freeman with the LiveFree Investors Podcast. I interview investors and business owners who share investment advice so you too can live free. Today, I'm talking to not only an incredible investor, broker, he's a good friend of mine, and I've been able to build a great relationship. It's Brock Thomas. I don't know if Brock's been on a podcast yet. I'm excited to introduce the world to Brock because he is a player and a hitter. And I want to kind of detail how I came about getting to know Brock. And many people think that I just started off like knowing everybody in Kansas City. I hassled Brock for at least 4 or 5 months before he finally said, all right, man, I'll have a beer with you and I'll sit down. And ever since, we've become really good friends. We've done some transactions together, and hopefully we'll get 1 or 2 done together this year. So Brock, in a few sentences, man, tell us who you are and what you do.
Okay, so I decided to pursue real estate at a very early age. When I was in high school, I had a lawn business that was pretty successful. And I had as I was mowing a few lawns, I had a guy approach me and ask me if I could clean up a yard for him and do all this side work. And after I finished that, he took me to another house and then another house. And so I said, hey, man, what do you do? And he was a buy and hold real estate investor.
Yep.
So, I was about 18 years old when that happened. I then enrolled in the University of Missouri, Columbia, where I got a business degree and I emphasized in real estate. And then after that, I started my real estate business. So I currently, as an investor, I have a wholesale business. I fix and flip, I buy and hold, and then I have a vertically integrated real estate team.
Yes, man. You've done a little bit of everything. And one thing I really respect about you is you're not afraid to roll the sleeves up and get your hands dirty, man. I mean, you've been getting dirty for a long time. He might look clean and nice and pretty now, but back when he was 18 years old, man, he was out there hustling. He was telling me, I don't even know how you were finding deals back in the day. I think it was legitimately, printing out lists, calling on these lists, figuring out tax sales, all of these different things. So if anybody thinks that I've got hustle, I have to say that if somebody can compete with me on the hustle side of the game, it's definitely Brock on finding deals. So with that being said, there was something I want to point out because I haven't had anybody on the show that has actually had a real estate degree. So take us back to Columbia and what did you learn in that program? Like, what did it teach you about real estate?
Yeah, so there's a number of universities that actually have this program, but it just really consists of 3 different classes. So we had your basic real estate class that was an intro, and then the next semester you actually did appraisals. So you learned the 3 different types of appraisals, and then you had a real estate finance course, and it was actually inside the finance department at Mizzou, but you could dual major if you chose to, or you could use it as electives. But it was a great program. I mean, we underwrote a Walgreens that was getting built in Columbia, so they tore down an existing building and then they built their structure there. So we underwrote that building and did an appraisal on it. It was
very cool, man.
Very informative.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think understanding the mechanics of real estate, the way that it's valued, the way to underwrite, how deals are getting put together is not where most real estate agents or investors might start, right? They might start on, looking at how to look at a pro forma, and that's all great and dandy, but really understanding the mechanics behind real estate, leads to good operations. And I think your business being vertically integrated is a real testament to that. So tell us a little bit about that vertical integration. Why did you go that route, and how's that been successful for you?
So I was just very focused on single family when I first got into the business. And so, I was only 23 years old when I started in the real estate business. So the first thing I had to do was learn the market. So I'd go and I'd preview houses every morning before I got into the office and started making calls. Made quite a few sales. And then in my second year, bought my first investment property at a foreclosure auction. Actually fixed it up, moved into it. And before that was complete, I had bought another one. At that time I was buying with my parents. And then after that, I got more partners
Yep.
as the market kind of turned over. I mean, everybody knows about the real estate crash. Well, it was just a really good time for me for that to happen. I mean, values dropped dramatically. I was already watching foreclosures, knew the process, and big investors kind of fleed the market at the time, and the little guy was kind of left standing.
Right.
And so I went to try to grab market share at that point and buy as many properties as I could. So had to find good partners. And as I grew into the business, there was just a need for a construction manager on the team.
Yep.
There was need for somebody that could help me with my sales, help me with my leasing, doing the paperwork, book work, all that kind of stuff. So, it takes a lot of people to really run a successful business, and I'm happy with the people that I put on my team, and always looking for more talent.
Absolutely, man. What's the best thing about being an investor and a business owner in your mind?
For me, it's two things. The two things I enjoy the most about it is the hunt, man. I
Yeah.
really enjoy to go out and hunt and kill. So, I'll stick with deals for a long time I guess opportunities for a long time, because I know that I can get them done. It may take me a year to
Yep.
get that property under contract, but I know what I can bring out of it. So I really love that chase. And if, sometimes it's like you get it right away, and that can be fun too, where you find, a jewel under a rock.
Right.
The second thing is the value add portion. Value add means a lot of different things to different people. And to me, you can add value to your team, your network, or your net worth, the property, and then the community as well. So
Yeah.
I believe if it's done right, everybody wins. And that's
Sure.
what I'm always looking to do.
Yeah, I have to say that you do stick with deals for a long period of time. And I'm always preaching about relationships, relationships, relationships. And I mean, there's been deals that you stuck with for 8, 12 months, finally got in there. And if anybody knows how to get a good price better than Brock Thomas, I would like to put him up against the best in the industry, because my goodness, man, you really, really buy at a good price. And I think that's like, for me, as I continue to see other investors come into Kansas City and what they're buying stuff at, and I know these investors, and I know what their model is, and I know that they're buying listed properties, even if they are a pocket listing from a broker. And I've made offers on most of these deals, $1 million, $1.5 million below what it's being even listed at. And so a long story short is off market and building relationships with property owners is definitely one of your specialties, and being patient too, I think is a big piece of that.
It takes a lot of patience. Sometimes that can wear you out mentally, but it really pays off in the long run.
Yeah, but it's all about deal flow, right? I mean, it's all about pipeline.
Absolutely.
And when you have a big enough pipeline and you have enough leads coming to you, you're not worried about the one deal. It's when you start focusing in on one project that has to happen, and if it doesn't, then your business is broken. Well, that's not a good model. And so I've seen you have so much deal flow that, hey, this one might take 12 months, might take 9 months, it might take 2 years, but I'm going to be there and I'm going to be in front of them, and they know my price, and I built that relationship, and I can perform. So I think it's a great testament to what you have been able to build. So, 2020 threw us for a little bit of a loop. Kansas City was a little less affected, I would say, in the real estate market, in the residential real estate market. It blew up here. I mean, and if it could blow up even more than it did the year before. I took advantage of that, sold my personal residence, and my wife and I bought a new home and capitalized on a lot of equity in 3 years that you usually don't see in Kansas City. But keeping up to date on all of these, opportunities, the changes, the challenges can be a real task. So tell me your thoughts on how you've overcome this. How do you stay up to date on a regular basis?
Well, I think it takes a lot of different things. Number one, it's your network,
Yeah.
and that's not just from a professional level. That's, personal stuff too, because not everybody's in real estate estate, not everybody thinks the same thing. And sometimes if you just think real estate all the time, you have tunnel vision. So
Yeah.
you need to hear what the consumers are essentially are saying and what they want. So I try to keep an open ear to that. I listen to a lot of podcasts
Yep.
in my office. I have a TV and it's fixed to YouTube pretty much all day. So
YouTube is awesome, man.
I'm at least listening to that with one ear
Yep.
all day long. And then, just watching the current, the current market and what's going on and who's doing what and what seems to be working. I think there's a lot of change that's going on now. And some of it was brought from the COVID situation, but others technology. So I think it's really, opening your eyes and ears and seeing what's working and what people want. Give people what they want.
Absolutely, man. Understanding the market and what they're asking for and then producing that product has been a complete shift for me. Whenever I was focusing on retail properties, I was like, man, nobody's asking for this. Nobody wants to invest in this. Why don't I just go figure out multifamily? I know everybody else is trying to too, but what if I take the same hustle, discipline, intentionality, and strategy and apply that to that asset class? And then we've had some success. So I appreciate that, man. Over the course of your career, owning businesses, being an investor yourself, what's some of the best advice that you've ever received, maybe from some of those partners or a mentor or just, something you've learned over the years?
Number one is just don't quit.
Mm.
Pretty straight to the point. It's,
Yep.
I've had a number of tough things happen to me, from the crash in 2007, really hit me hard in 2006. All my transactions were falling apart because of financing. And I had some really hard months in there, but you just got to fight through it. You'll have tough business relationships. You'll have, economic changes, all sorts of things that can happen, but you just have to love what you're doing and just don't quit.
Absolutely. There's a book out there called Grit that I really like. I think it's Angela Duckworth. Maybe I got the last name wrong, but I can see the book cover in my mind. But, persevering and grit and just sticking with it is so important. I think another interesting trend that has happened is many folks have entered into the real estate services market over the last 12 months. I think that on the residential side and on the commercial side, the brokerage that I work with on a regular basis has grown 100% over the last 9 months. And so I think that that's another trend that we're seeing. So even more people are seeing that, hey, commercial real estate is a tangible asset. People want to invest in it. It's not going away. And if you can add value in that marketplace, you'll get rewarded for it. I always say that in life and in business, you get paid in proportion to the size of the problems that you solve. And I think that if you can find that niche for yourself, you can really start to exploit that. But it does take time. Real estate is not necessarily a get rich, fast scheme. It's a get wealthy, slow scheme over time, especially on the investment side of things. So I appreciate that advice, man. Sticking with it. Okay. Now, Brock, I have to ask you a question because I've been throwing these in for a loop. I don't really prep people for these, but it's a question that Tim Ferriss asks a lot of his guests on his show, or he wrote a book about it, one of the two. And it's, my favorite is, if you could hypothetically have a billboard that is seen by millions of people a day, what would that message be on that billboard?
Add value.
Add value.
Absolutely. Like I said before, everybody in real estate says value add, but, I think it's a way of life. You need to be, I think that a lot of my success that I've had so far has came from not just looking what I'm going to get out of the deal. It's what all these other people can get out of the deal and doing my job as best as possible. So,
Yep.
I really value relationships that I have with friends and business professionals, and I always try to treat them as well as I can. So I think, kind of putting necessarily your short-term goals aside or what you're looking to get out of something and just adding value is is very important in the way that I'm trying to live my life.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a social show. I always like to try to bring new people on that maybe aren't as well known and or are kind of hiding out there, because I don't need everybody else that is on the podcast circuit. I'm looking for somebody that can really bring some nuggets like you did today. So this is your opportunity to promote somebody onto the show. So what other successful investor or business owner like yourself should be on the Live Free Investors podcast?
It's actually somebody but Chris Smith.
Okay.
So Chris was a business partner of mine, and Logan helped us sell our apartment complex in Independence, Missouri, and he owns quite a bit of real estate and a few different businesses. So I think he could bring a lot of knowledge and value to your show and to your community.
Awesome. I will reach out to Chris. I appreciate that, Brock. This is the most important question of the podcast, taking a little bit of a shift. I try to emulate really good husbands and fathers and business owners on a regular basis. And I know you've got a lot going on the home front with those 3 boys of yours. So the most important question of the podcast is, what's the best advice you have for somebody looking to live free on a regular basis? And how do you live free?
Well, that's a good question. Oh man. I think you got to take it one day at a time. You have to break your goals down, and you have to win the day.
Yeah. Win the day, man. I tell you what, that was a mentality that our coaches at the University of Central Missouri always tried to beat into our heads. It's just go win the day, control what you can control, and go tackle what you can tackle. Block and tackling, man. Spoken like a true investor and business owner, Brock. How can folks find you? How can they reach out to you and learn more about what you're doing in Kansas City?
So I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. I also have a business Facebook page, the Brock Thomas Real Estate Group. Those would be the two.
We will make sure to link to all those things. If you want to reach out to Brock, just reach out to me and I'll send them your way. This is Logan Freeman with the Live Free Investors Podcast, where investors and business owners like Brock share advice so you too can live free. For more insights and ideas on how you can live free, make sure to reach out to myself and Brock on LinkedIn and Facebook today. Brock, thank you so much for joining us today.
All right. Thanks, Logan.
Until next time, guys, live free.